We will definitely get to the political side of it. We also want to just take a moment. The Prime Minister mentioned Greenland as being obviously a big part of Arctic security. Mr. Prime Minister, can you walk us through, give us a little sense of the view from Greenland?
Yeah, of course. First of all, I will be a bit more political, I think, in my start, because Greenland has been a center of attention for quite a long time now. And this topic has been filling the media. And from a Greenlandic perspective, we have been living in our region in peace and in low tension for many years. But we have also recognized in Greenland that I don't think there is any low tension areas in the world anymore, and we need to be a part of building up capabilities and taking our share in surveillance and in security in our region. And that's why I'm perfectly aligned, and we work really close together in terms of security in our area. And we are also very happy to have the NATO Arctic Sentry in Greenland. I think it's a step in a really good direction. But I will also mention, as Mette mentioned, that talks about the Russian and Chinese ships around our region in Greenland. It's not now, but we are not naive, and we see the longer perspective. When our routes in the northwest and the northeast they melt, there might be more traffic. But what we are aligned on, and the most important thing is that we will do more, and we are willing to lift our responsibility in Greenland to make that happen with our allies in the NATO alliance. And it's very important for me to say that the Arctic Sentry and the NATO alliance is something that we are truly committed on as Greenlanders. So transatlantic cooperation and international rule of law and so on, that's deeply in our values. But thank you for being able to attend this panel.
Thank you very much. So thank you both for setting the scene here. I want to start with one of our hosts here, Minister Ptorius. Both the Prime Ministers mentioned Arctic Sentry. You just came from a NATO meeting where this is now the new NATO mission that's just started this week in Greenland. Despite the fact we've been hearing quite a bit about it, it's not really clear what it is. Is it a rotation? Is it a long-term presence? How many troops are involved? You dispatched I think about a dozen German troops to Greenland several weeks ago to do an assessment. What did they tell you, and what is Arctic Sentry?
Mette answered that question already when she said Arctic Sentry is a framework. It's something we can put in and take out what is needed and what is not needed any longer. So what we start with is some Eurofighters from Germany, air fueling, and P-8 Poseidon in the weeks to come. So we put in everything we can do, like other NATO allies too. And we watch the situation, we are seeing what's going on, and we can react in the way which is appropriate. This is Arctic Sentry, and the framework is so decisive from my perspective, since everybody, I think, in this room too, believes we never were busy with the Arctic before. That's not true. I mean, we have been knowing all the time that the Arctic is relevant. I've been in Norway, in the northern, very high north of Norway 2 years ago, 1.5 years ago, and having another view on the globe from the very north is totally different than looking at it from Berlin or from wherever, from Washington, for example. So it is another perspective, and it shows very impressively how the distances changes and the hemispheres of influence of the powers of the world, like Russia, like China, like the United States, and of course the European countries in the high north. So it is about to prepare for, to prove that we have understood years ago already of the relevance of the Arctic. And to be honest, the discussion of Greenland, of course, had an impact on that. But to be clear, it's the same point is, it never was about, from the Washington perspective, about security when it came to Greenland. It was about other issues to remain diplomatic. So Therefore, it's very important to do that, because it shows, okay, you are concerned when it comes to the security of Greenland. We are concerned about the security of the Arctic, including Greenland, and therefore we take part in everything what happens there, of course, always in the framework of NATO and not just alone.
You've both mentioned Russia and China as possible threats in the Arctic. I think that's what we usually hear about when they talk about the potential threat. So I want to unpack each of those. Foreign Minister Anand, can you take Russia? What is the threat that Russia poses now in the Arctic, and how is that evolving, if it's not maybe a direct threat right now?
So after the illegal and unjustifiable further invasion of Ukraine in 2022, we have seen Russian infrastructure move further and further north towards the Arctic Circle. The geopolitical environment is shifting rapidly, and that is one way in which it is doing so. From Canada's perspective, we have the second largest country in the world. 40% of our land mass interfaces with the Arctic. 70% of Canada's coastline interfaces with the Arctic. So this is a very real and important shift in the geopolitical environment that we must acknowledge, in addition to climate change, which is melting the polar ice caps and making transition through the Northwest Passage, for example, much different than it has been in previous decades. The fact of the matter is that Canada, while we are appreciative and support Arctic Sentry, we are also taking the bull by the horns and ensuring that we are now ramping up our investments and infrastructure in the Arctic. And this isn't a decision we took today or even yesterday. In the past years, we have been launching procurements for over-the-horizon radar, for Arctic icebreakers, in addition to the ones we already have, for NORAD modernization. And here, I will say that we are very closely partnered with the United States in terms of continental defense. So when we think about the Arctic, we have to ensure that it's not just NATO that we are focused on. NORAD, and in particular the role that Canada and the United States play in aerial surveillance over the Canadian Arctic, is extremely relevant and important. These two systems of collaboration are complementary. And the fact of the matter is that we need to all acknowledge the changing global threat environment and the importance of supporting each other, collaborating with each other in terms of our capabilities in the Arctic and our diplomacy in the Arctic. And the final point I'll make is we have an Arctic foreign policy, and we've had one for years. We opened a consulate in Nuuk, Greenland. Thank you for hosting us, because we believe in expanding our presence in the Arctic, and we want to do that in collaboration, especially for purposes of Indigenous peoples and Inuit, the original owners of the land. We will also open a consulate in Anchorage this year for the very same reason. Our approach is collaborative. Our approach is one in which we build together through multilateral organizations and partnerships.
It's okay, you can clap. We love claps. We love applause. Senator Murkowski, the foreign minister, laid out Russia's really growing opportunities, I guess, to get closer to the United States, to North America, to Canada, as times are evolving. What about the threat from China? How has that, is it a threat right now? Are you seeing that manifest in any way? And again, how is that one changing?
The short answer is yes. The short answer is yes, in terms of what we're seeing with China. And it's not just with China. We've seen China up in the Arctic on doing research or mapping, whatever it is they may say they're doing. But the new factor here is what is happening together in cooperation with Russia, whether it is the joint bomber operations that we are seeing flying over the north that we are sending up our fighters to intercept, whether it is the Coast Guard and naval vessels that are operating jointly. Used to be the Russians would lead, now we're seeing actually the Chinese lead some of this. So what we're seeing is what is unusual. Now, you have mentioned the proximity to Russia, and I think particularly when we're sitting here in Munich, it's easy to just think about the eastern side and the threat from Russia from here. But for us in Alaska, it is very real. It is every day. It is 2 miles. 2 miles between Little Diomede, which is U.S., and Big Diomede, which is Russian. 57 miles from basically the shoreline of Alaska to the shoreline of Russia. So it is real. We see it. We feel it. And I think the geography hasn't changed. I'm fascinated, too, that we have such a full audience today, and I'm encouraged by it, but I'm just going to tell you, the map hasn't changed. Alaska was always sitting there. Canada occupies as much of the Arctic as it does.